WBAY TV, your first alert station. Action 2 News This Morning live stream starts now.
Hey there, good morning everyone. Welcome to our WBAY live stream. Want to get you up to date right away because when we were going off the air from Action 2 News this morning just before 7 o'clock, we told you about breaking news that we're following from the Green Lake Sheriff's Office. So here's what we know about this. Authorities and Alliant Energy have responded to a gas leak in Berlin this morning. This leak is in the area near the post office on South Pearl Street. So we have that map up right here. Green Lake County Sheriff's Office is reporting 4 blocks around that gas leak being evacuated. That area includes West Huron Street from South Pearl to South Adams Avenue and East Franklin. From South Pearl Street to South Adams Avenue. Again, Alliant Energy has cut off power to that area. There's a gas leak. This is in the area of the post office there in Berlin. So we just learned about that on Facebook, on the Green Lake County Sheriff Office Facebook page. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Keeping everybody safe there. And now I want to talk about our weather. It's a first alert weather day. So you might be asking, why is that? We're chatting with Steve here. We've had fog the last several mornings that we've been waking up, and this morning there was a concern again because of freezing fog, right?
Right, and overnight the fog was really thick. Now, thankfully the fog is not quite as dense as it was, but it's been occurring across northeast Wisconsin. Temperatures have been below freezing, so we want to caution people if you're traveling over the next hour or two, there might be some slick spots because of that overnight freezing fog. Our severe weather outlook is low. Allow for some extra travel time. Not all the sidewalks and parking lots and driveways are salted, so you might have some ice underneath your feet if you're walking around. So we had a freezing fog advisory up for the valley over towards the Bay Shore and the Lake Shore. Most of that has been whittled away, Tammy. All that's left is Fond du Lac County and south until noon, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Weather Service dumps out of that even between now and lunch.
I was just going to say, yesterday morning I was noticing it looked like the fog, because we're talking about freezing fog, potential on the road, but also like on the trees, on some of the branches and things.
That's right.
It looked frozen.
And we didn't really talk about that too much during our primary morning show, but that is called hoarfrost. It looks kind of like it's spiky, right?
Exactly.
Like it's just kind of spiky frost that's on the branches. And that's because of that moisture just kind of floating and collecting on not just road surfaces, but also other things like tree branches. Sometimes power lines get that as well. The fog, though, is not as thick because right around after midnight, we got this northeast wind, and it helped to kind of improve the visibility across the area. Now, if you look, you can see just west of the valley, Watoma's visibility, not great. It's 3/4 of a mile, but of course, with all that moisture and these temperatures in the upper 20s, there may be a few issues if you're traveling.
And a lot of people are wondering, why is this happening? We had this like every morning waking up, over the weekend. So why are we seeing this fog?
The fog, the clouds on all of our sky camera shots, the big reason why is because of what we call a temperature inversion. So there's the cloud cover and the fog on our nighttime satellite view. Now let's put this into 3 dimensions, right? We're looking at this as a cross section here. So near the ground, there's cool, damp air. Then you go up about, say, 2,000 feet up. Like if you were in a hot air balloon going up into the sky, it's actually warmer.
Okay.
So this warm air is helping to trap the cool, damp air near the ground. And it's especially at night, in the early morning, as the temperatures cool down, you get these pesky low clouds that form. And this pattern has been repeating itself ever since the start of this weekend, which is now in the books.
And is it going to continue? I mean, are you expecting this to happen again maybe tomorrow morning?
It's going to happen obviously now, and then tomorrow morning, might happen Wednesday morning, although I'm not quite as certain about that.
Okay.
But like we've seen the past couple of days, I think the clouds and the fog will give way to some hazy sunshine. We should get up to about 40 for a high temperature, but if you're north and west of the Fox Valley, it's probably going to be even warmer than that because you'll see more sunshine compared to folks closer to Lake Winnebago and Lake Michigan. I would say north and west of the valley, we probably will see mid to upper 40s this afternoon.
Wow. And then a 50 in there potentially.
I know.
Look at this for Thursday.
It's very possible. We
That's
could see some record
crazy.
highs because the record highs are right around that ballpark. So 53 on Thursday. Scattered showers. There's a shower chance Thursday, Friday. I didn't talk about this during the morning show, but I wouldn't be shocked Thursday night if there's a couple claps of thunder.
Oh, really?
No severe weather, but Wouldn't shock me as a cold front comes through.
So if you hear that, you're thinking, what is that? What am I hearing?
Right. You're thinking, huh? What month do I live in here?
February.
Now look at the weekend. It looks cooler. We're going to see highs in the mid to upper 30s, but that's still less than ideal for our sturgeon spears. The first alert on what the forecast looks like. Wet snow showers are a mix on Saturday, a little bit breezy. Sunday, cloudy but dry. But because it's been so mild this winter, because of our El Nino dominated weather pattern, the ice conditions are going to be poor. So if you are participating in this lackluster sturgeon spearing season coming up, please exercise a lot of caution, Tammy.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll be talking with Kristen Allen on that in just a moment. First, want to talk about your morning drive this morning over here with Catherine and First Alert Traffic, and you're keeping an eye on this.
Yeah, and the problem that we have with fog is it's kind of like a double whammy. You know, it affects the visibility, but then fog is just moisture in the air, as Steve was talking about. So that when the temperatures are like this, it can freeze to the pavement. So the DOT is then this is sort of a broad view of most of our viewing area, and you can see a lot of pink. So that means even on the main highways that are treated, you could encounter black ice here or there. So that's you know, never fun to deal with. It's a good idea to slow down a little bit, 5 or 10 miles an hour or so.
For sure. And I wanted to bring up something because you talk about this, to use your low beam headlights.
Yes.
I was driving this weekend and my daughter said, well, turn on your brights. And I said, well, let me show you why that doesn't work. And you know, there were no other cars on the road.
Oh, perfect.
And I showed her the difference, you know, and she was like, oh, and I, you know, kind of talked about that. I said, Catherine mentions it all the time in First Alert Traffic.
It's the moisture in the air. The light reflects too much off of that, and then it's just harder for you to see. So talking about fog, we've been looking at this camera pretty much all morning because, you know, when we talk about these sort of situations, I look at all the 511 DOT cameras around our area and try to figure out, you know, where is the area where this weather that we're dealing with, where's the best place to show it? And earlier, this was one of the better spots, I-41 at Highway 26 on the south side of Oshkosh, and it was pretty murky, but now it is a little bit improved. So we're hoping that that trend continues, that the visibility continues to improve through the morning, Tammy.
Yeah, definitely good to see improving conditions. Thanks, Catherine. All right, talking about these above average temperatures, they are continuing to threaten ice conditions for sturgeon spearing. That's just days away. We have Kristen Allen joining us live out at Waverly Beach in Menasha this morning. So, Kristen, what's the best way for people to monitor the ice before they head out?
Well, the best way to monitor is through contacting local fishing clubs. One of those is the Otter Street Fishing Club here in the Valley. So that's one place that you can contact. They regularly monitor ice conditions. They go out, they check them. Some people think the DNR monitors ice conditions, but the DNR does not monitor ice conditions. It does not have information on how thick the ice is. So the best way to do that is by contacting the local fishing clubs.
And do you know how thick the ice is right now out there where you are?
I don't know. I don't know how thick the ice is. It's most likely different thicknesses in different areas, but in speaking with the Otter Street Fishing Club, some things to keep in mind about ice thickness when heading out onto the ice is that it should be, I should back up and say that he did say that the different fishing clubs have different bylaws. So the Otter Street Fishing Club, what they recommend is 12 inches of thickness to put a truck out there, 6 to 8 for things like ATVs, and then just needing really a couple inches, 2 to 3 inches to be able to walk out there. But even being able to walk out there with things that you have to keep in mind is places where there could be cracks or things like that still make the ice a little bit unstable.
And we have these warmer temperatures coming this week. Steve was just talking about that. And could this season, could the sturgeon spearing season be canceled?
It won't be canceled here in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin DNR says that it doesn't have the authority to cancel the sturgeon spearing season because of a state statute. So all states are a little bit different. We're learning that in Michigan, the Michigan DNR did cancel the single-day sturgeon spearing season on Black Lake. That's in northern Michigan. So there, the DNR has the ability to do that, but not here. So it will go on as scheduled, but obviously experts, the DNR, just just urging people to be very, very careful out there.
Yes, so critical with these warming temperatures. Kristen, thank you for your live reports this morning. I want to talk about another story that we've been informing you of. Volunteer fire departments in our area running out of firefighters to respond to emergencies. Emily Roberts is joining us live this morning outside the town of Oneida Volunteer Fire Department. This is such an important story for people. Emily, you've been talking about this morning. Why are volunteer fire departments looking for younger people to help out?
Tammy, they say that a lot of their volunteer firefighters are actually aging out. They're not able to perform as many tasks as they used to. Here at the town of Oneida Volunteer Fire Department, they say that their oldest member, one of them, is at least 80 years old. They say their youngest is 19, but they say most of them are in their 50s. And of course, they'll be aging out soon as well. So that's why volunteer fire departments are really looking to recruit people in their 20s and 30s to make sure that moving into the future, as the years go on, there are always going to be people able to respond to those 911 calls quickly. That's one of the biggest things is right now, at least with the town of Oneida Volunteer Fire Department, their roster has about 30 people on it. And right now, about 5 of those people respond to these emergency calls each time. So when only 5 folks are able to get out there at a time, that means that they'll have to call in other departments, and some of those other departments might also be struggling. So really, it's a pretty big cycle right now, and that's why it's so important to raise awareness and see if anyone's interested.
Yeah, for sure. And how can someone become a volunteer firefighter, Emily?
Well, let me put this into perspective for you a little bit. I have some numbers here. So many volunteer fire departments are struggling. It's not just the town of Oneida, as I said. So the National Fire Protection Association reports more than 777,000 volunteer firefighters in 2000, so a little more than 2 decades ago. And in 2020, that number dropped to about 677,000. So a significant decrease over the past couple of years. And of course, that number likely to keep going down. So that's one of the biggest things, that's why they want to recruit these folks. So they say that to become a volunteer fire department, at least with town of Oneida, reach out to them on social media, give them a call. You could even reach out to the town in general, and someone will connect you here. It's pretty easy in these small areas to get involved. Similar thing goes for other fire. So many of them need the help right now, so even if you don't live in the town of Oneida, you could always reach out and ask to get involved. At least with town of Oneida, they say you are more than welcome to sit in on their next training session later this month. So just so many opportunities to kind of stick your foot in the water, see if you like it, and give it a try. That's all they want is dedicated, hardworking individuals willing to try.
Emily, thank you, and so good that we're able to bring that story to people's attention to help recruit new members of the volunteer firefighting force. All right, we're at the First Alert Safety Desk now, talking with Aisha. Got to admit, as a parent here, I was really tuned into this one about energy drinks and the concern with kids, and these are really popular with kids.
And we know this. I think we've heard this before. Energy drinks aren't good for any of us, adults, kids.
They have a lot of caffeine in them.
A lot of caffeine, a lot of weird ingredients that aren't necessarily good for you, but this is kind of putting into perspective using actual research. So this is by researchers in the UK. They found that kids that are reaching for that energy drink, they're at a higher risk of different things like ADHD, so behavioral and mental health issues. ADHD I mentioned, also depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and what you're seeing right here, it just kind of breaks down a little bit of what the study is. It's actually 57 studies built into one. So they took all of that research, combined it into one thing, looking at over 1 million kids and young adults. It wasn't just the UK, by the way, those are the researchers there, but this was over 20 countries that they looked at. So it's pretty much everywhere. But with this research, UK officials, they brought this to the attention of other officials in the country and saying, we should probably ban the sale of energy drinks to kids, especially if they're under 18, because of how detrimental it can be. So I thought that was really interesting. And during the show, we didn't really get to talk a whole lot about what parents can do.
Right.
And, it's about doing what you say, leading by example, I should say.
Right.
So if you're reaching for energy drinks, I mean, they're going to want to do it too.
Right, and read the labels, really
Read the
know
labels.
what's in them.
Right.
I think we have some at home, I'm going to admit, I have older teenagers who like those, and I was kind of shocked to see how much caffeine is in one of those.
And the
so
caffeine,
just know what you have, and all the other ingredients too, as you were saying.
Well, we've talked about too here about mental, physical effects of caffeine for kids. You know, they're still growing, their brains are still developing, so you got to watch out for that. If you're noticing some things like their sleep is not so great, you got to be careful with that because it affects a lot of other things. So there are some health experts here in the U.S., not just the UK, that are actually trying to push for the ban of sales of energy drinks to kids. So I'll be watching out for that.
Okay, I know you'll keep us updated. Appreciate that information. All right, so before we go, want to talk about Facebook. Of course, one of the most popular social media sites in the world. Did you know it just turned 20 years old? Facebook created February 4th, 2004. Back then, only a select amount of college students were using it. Now it seems like everyone has an account. So we thought it would be maybe fun to take a look back on our site, some of the first things that we posted. Let's see, one of my first photos. Ooh, oh yes, that was my first, what do you call it?
Like a profile pic?
Profile pic here at the station at WBAY. Yeah, because I started my Facebook when I joined WBAY. Aisha.
This is 2010 at Disneyland in California. Because my very first one was with my little brother, who was like 4 at the time, and we were doing the duck faces. And,
nice.
But this was the second profile pic I ever had.
Oh my goodness.
So funny.
And that's Catherine. Catherine is, she's working on a story for our GMA update coming up in a second, but that is her at the desk in 2013.
With the short hair.
She's got the short hair. And we got a picture of me, apparently. Oh, boy.
What are you doing?
What is that?
So we had a former director and production guy named Travis, and he used to work for us, and then he left, and then he came back to visit. And kind of like an online blog, he has a little Tyrannosaurus Rex that visits places. And apparently there was a confrontation in our old weather center.
Nice.
Yes, and so of course I like to play it up too, you know. But gosh, like I feel like I did that photo like not that long ago. But this is like, what, 2012? Is that what it was?
And just thinking about the people, 20 years? Did it
Yeah,
turn
20 years.
About the people who, this has been their whole life on Facebook,
Right.
you know.
That's all they know.
We had a little bit of a gap before
But
we
it
were on it.
documents your life,
It
right?
does.
You can look back and
Yeah, I mean,
see.
for us, it's a dozen years or so, but like
Yeah.
for a lot of people, 20.
Yeah.
It's just wild to think that much time has flown by.
It is. All right, so we are getting an update on that gas leak in Berlin. I know Catherine
That's
is
what
working
Catherine's
on that
working
right
on.
now. We're
She's
going to
going
have
around
our
the cameras.
Yeah,
to
we're going to have
get
our
ready.
update there during Good Morning America. Steve will also keep you updated on our weather situation, give you a behind-the-scenes look, and get that very latest
So I
information
just want
here.
traffic before the break.
And you
She's
can hear her
chatting
talking
with
with
our directors.
That's real life behind
Yeah.
the scenes, right?
This is what
This is
happens.
raw. This is really raw, isn't it?
That's what the live stream's all about, right?
You ready for this cut-in, Catherine?
Yes.
She's ready.
She's ready.
She's getting ready. I better get ready to do the weather part of it, too. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for joining.